me how these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'ma say it. I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. If you would, like, share the show. If you haven't been to our YouTube page, it is at the NotBland Show. It's all one. Go there and subscribe. Well, I will kick the show off really quick by saying and talking about something really quickly. The NHRA, unless you were off the grid, you know that Tony Stewart will be taking over the cockpit duties in 2024 for his wife, Leah Pruitt, as they look to start a family. And I'm happy for them. It was really cool. And the NHRA did something pretty cool, I thought, with the announcement. And they said this would be one of the biggest moments in NHRA history. Well, that got people talking after the announcement was made. There was a lot of buzz. Fans were talking about it. A lot of media outlets that normally don't cover the sport picked it up and wrote articles about it. And, the buzz is good, right? Well, one of the biggest moments in NHRA history. Well, I kind of liken it to top 5 quarterbacks in NFL history. Top NBA moments in NBA history, right? You know what all 3 of those statements have in common? They are statements that are open for a agree or disagree when you put out statements or things like that, right? Which means it's an opinion, not a fact, but an opinion. And isn't that great when you have something like that, to have people who agree or may disagree with that said statement? I think so, because it got people talking. It got people having banter in the middle of the offseason, early part of the offseason, talking about the news that was going on and being displayed, the first piece of news dropping out of PRI. Awesome. Now, others and respected members of the media who had a strong opinion and agreed with that decided to take an attack and talk down to the fans who did not agree. And for that, I think it's wrong and it's unprofessional. Because again, we're talking about an opinion, not a fact. And if everybody was on the go along, get along game, we would never have any other sides to present to those types of things so we can have a discussion. Like I said, I'll even go as far as mock drafts. It's someone's opinion of where they think a player may go. And that opens up discussion. Don't think people aren't going to tweet and talk about those types of statements. So, do I think it was the biggest moment, one of the biggest moments in NHRA history? Absolutely not. But that's my opinion, and that's okay. Well, I'm looking forward to this show because we have some great guests coming up. We're going to have Josh Hart on, And we're going to talk to him about the offseason. We're going to talk to him about his PRI experience. A lot of nice experiences that was shared from the NHRA stage. I thought that was great that they were able to allow the fans inside who weren't able to get there, and even us in the media that were not able to get there for PRI. Really good stuff. We had a lot of breaking things. Buddy Hall going to Jim Dunn. I mean, really, it was amazing, and it was a shock because we had Buddy Hall on this show, right? Now, obviously, he couldn't talk about things just yet until they were ready to break them. But, man, I'm happy for that guy. And he does look like a funny car guy, doesn't he? He kind of reminds me, he's like Matt Hagan's rival. Both big guys. He's going to manhandle that race car. Awesome stuff to have Buddy Hall in funny car. But let's be clear, he sold his operation to Jacob McNeil. And I'm happy for that guy. First of all, how awesome is it that Jacob McNeil was able to hook up with a guy like Buddy Hall? I mean, if you're going to get involved with anybody, Buddy is the most positive and most forward thinker and doesn't allow any negativity, especially when it comes down to owning your own team. There's a lot of stresses. There's a lot of feelings and things that has to be managed. Can be very stressful, especially for someone doing this for their first time. Buddy being able to do that and be a part of that is awesome. And still being able to give him guidance. I think it's the best partner you can have, best friend you can have, because he's always going to be positive and he's always looking for an avenue to continue to do well, not thinking negative in the what ifs of the negatives. But it's important when you're owning something like that in that stressful situation to be able to be positive. And he's going to have Mike Guger as his crew chief. I think that's awesome. They really started to get a handle on that race car towards the end of the season. You saw some career best from Buddy Hall. And, I think this is going to be good for the sport. It's kind of reminding me of the old days when we had a bunch of full-time rides out there. And I think it's probably close to about 15 full-time rides. And thank you all for chiming in and commenting. We have about 15 rides out there, and that's going to be great. That's not even including the guys that come and, are going to be on a part-time schedule and be running these events. So it makes things more interesting. When it comes down to the third qualifying session in some places and fourth qualifying session in others, you're going to have individuals that are going to be on the bump spot, and they likely might get bumped out. Kind of like we saw in Pomona when we saw Alexis DeJoria get bumped out of, the field there and wasn't able to make it. So hold on for a second. Trying to read a text here. Trying to read this text here. So we're having a problem here with Josh. Let me see. Let's try to help him out here. But there's a lot of news, a lot of good news. Yes, Sean and Ida, I'm really excited. We don't know how many runs that or races she will be making, but I'm excited for her being here, and I can't wait for her to be full time, to have a across the pond champion come in and be able to race on our side in America is pretty awesome. And so we'll see how how many races they plan on doing, and whether it's sooner or later when she gets in to Top Fuel full time here in the NHRA. Like I said, really good stuff coming from PRI. People making business moves and being able to, advance their programs, because that's important. Oh, yes, Briar. Lyle Barnett. Lyle was the first choice and was the choice for a long time. I kind of like Tony's approach to, he wasn't comfortable with taking it initially, and he had to be, kind of prodded a little bit a few times to get that ride and to be in that ride. I loved his approach from the beginning, going into the alcohol ranks. They should not be downplayed because that is a really good, that's a really good division, and it really does have a lot of good drivers. We're going to see Jasmine Salinas come over as well, so that's going to be awesome. But I think he's going to be fine because he has the right approach. He's always had the right approach. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm excited, and I hope that we get Salty Tony, like, hot sauce Tony, spicy Tony, because that's his personality. We're having big issues here. Big issues. So let me try and copy this link again and send it. Appreciate you guys hanging in there. Always some technical difficulties when you're going live. So here we are, and we're trying to do our best to get that to them so we can have Josh on this show and Chris as well. So still trying to talk with Elon here and try to get this worked out, but I appreciate you guys' patience in all of this as well. Right. Yeah. Lyle is a big personality. And I really like his approach too. He's not going to shy away from saying how he feels and speaking his mind. Definitely, I think he's going to be in a Pro Mock car this year, so that's going to be cool. Nice to see him back out there in that capacity. They did, Briar. Competition Plus did a great job. They had a couple interviews as well live from PRI. They did a very good job of, I think it was Chris King. They had Josh Hart on as well. I believe there was one more. Oh, they had Elon on as well to be able to talk about some of the big moments, some of the big announcements that was going on there. And here we go. Well, I didn't do it right, and I promised that I would do it right. In the words of my guy, Dak Prescott, yeah, here we go. If you watch football, you know what I'm talking about. He is the driver of the RL Carriers Top Fuel Dragster. He finished 10th in the NHRA points in 2023. My guy, Josh Hart. How's it going, buddy?
Awesome, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How's your off season going? PRI seem to be quite fun.
I wouldn't call it an off season quite yet. I still am trying to figure out where exactly all the pots and pans and silverware are at my house. So then about the time that I get that figured out, she'll change it up on me again. But
I can relate to that. I tell you, as soon as I learn where everything is, it's like, oh no, I don't like it this way. I have to reorganize it. Then I have to relearn everything again. And it's hard for me to put away the dishes in the dishwasher.
100%. I told her she needs to start submitting a drawing. And
exactly. I need a print. I need a blueprint, and I need everything marked so I know exactly where to go.
Is definitely on the Christmas list.
Man, PRI seemed to be a place of a lot of news. Could you tell us about your experience and what you guys were able to do there at PRI?
Yeah, absolutely. We debuted last year our first kind of Bernie's booth, and so this year we thought, you know what, let's try to do something that showcases our car collection, building talents, and our trailer operation. And it was huge. It paid huge dividends. We sold every trailer that we brought to the show, and we got multiple orders for resto mods to be built by Bernie's Speed Shop.
That is awesome. That is fantastic. I did see the Dragster in Lucas Oil Stadium. That was pretty awesome. As an NFL guy, seeing a Dragster in the middle of an NFL stadium, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was the first time we'd actually shown that car since its win in Gainesville. So it was pretty cool to knock the dust off of it and show it off.
Yeah. How are things going at the speed shop down there?
Oh, we're slammed. Very, very blessed. Better than I deserve. It's absolutely off the hook. It's crazy.
Well, you know, I always say to good people, good things come. And you're one of those guys. And I have listened to, so much stuff going on. I call the NHRA silly season. Basically, it's similar to the NFL free agent frenzy that we have every year. It seems, too, that you're able to keep a lot of your guys. I know it's a business, and sometimes it's not very easy to be able to do that because you always have some people that are inquiring, and they do inquire from other teams. How are you able to do that and do that so well?
Truthfully, I mean, it's been beat into me for years by my mentor, Dennis Hendershot. So the grass is greener where you water it. You know, we barely got into the top 10 by the skin of our teeth. And a lot of people probably considered jumping ship and, changing things around. I'm of the opposite end of that spectrum. I'm saying we're in it for the long haul. We're a team. You go, we go. Let's build this thing together. Yeah, we took some pretty good hits this year, but we're only going to get stronger as we work through those problems. So I'm a very dedicated, loyal person, sometimes to a fault, but I intend to keep my regime together.
I like it because it reminds me of when I used to work at a machine shop. I had just started there. I worked in shipping and receiving. And when I got into that machine shop, it was, minority owned by a woman, and they were a family. His son worked there, but it really felt like an atmosphere, and they did whatever they could to make sure that they kept their long-standing employees, there. Whenever you needed something, they tried to deliver. And I think that's a really good thing, especially in a time like this where it's so focused on business, and sometimes we forget the human element of business, and how keeping a team together, like your unit is, to me, is just like keeping a coaching staff together on a football team. When you have that, you can build every year, you can continue to grow, and you can continue to get better as a staff. And as you get better as a staff, the players get better. Same with drag racing. A lot of change sometimes can set you back, and maybe you were successful one year and you're not successful the next year. But when you keep guys together, that continuity, it really cuts down on the mistakes that could happen when you have a lot of turnover on an NHRA team like that.
Could not agree with you more. We definitely took a step back this year, but it wasn't because of our team. It was because we were trying new things. We were learning all these new parts. It was a testing type of season. It was horrible. And, Ron Douglas and I made a deal a long time ago. I know when I mess up, he knows when he messes up. We don't get to yell at each other. So both made errors this year, and we both take that experience and learn from it. Now we turn up the heat and we win 2024.
I was getting ready to ask you that, and I often wonder, especially when you have seasons where, you have a lot of first round exits, if you kind of know exactly what the problem may be, because, the fans and even some times in the media, we don't really see what's on the surface, whether it's going down the track or not. And sometimes it has nothing really to do with the tuning of the car. Sometimes it's just a simple fact, like you said, we're trying to advance, kind of like Grubnick. They stuck to it. They are trying to advance. And I don't disagree with that, because especially in drag racing, if you're standing still, you will soon be passed by. And sometimes you have to take steps back in order to move forward.
100%. You know, everybody was in the 3.6s very consistently this season. We had an ongoing joke in our team. We were saying we're just going to 380 them to death. But you can't do it anymore. You just can't. Doesn't matter if it's hot. Doesn't matter if it's cold. We have to catch up. And to do that, we needed a year like this year to test new stuff. We learned a lot. Now we'll be ready.
I like it. I like it. Now, as you look towards 2024, there's a lot that goes in to your off season. Are you guys, would you say that you guys are caught up and are totally prepared and not really frantically around? Or are you guys still waiting on things, parts, maybe clutch things, and trying to get organized and set the car up and get it ready for Gainesville? Oh, you're going to the pro race though, right?
Yes, sir.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath. But, you know, with the new rules that just came out about, you know, thicker pipe on the front end of these cars, I'm hoping that it kind of levels the playing field. Everybody's going to be testing that week leading up to that race. But I would say we've got a pretty good stronghold on our parts. We've really started planning, you know, right about Indy, we really started throwing down where we needed in every aspect of the program. So we're strong.
That's good. And I want to talk to you about the pro race too. This thing was thrown out there and set up. I really, really like what is possible here. I saw some behind the scenes from Courtney Enders of some of these interviews that are going to be popping out here. With this race being so soon, does this put a lot of pressure on you guys as far as kind of accelerating the process? Instead, being that this is something that you don't want to come out and not be able to be a winning, you know, outfit here. You would have more time if you didn't do this. Does this kind of accelerate things for you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're excited about it. It's an awesome opportunity. You know, Richard Freeman, I think, is kind of the brains behind this thing. And you know, I know nobody wants a new sanctioning body. That's not the goal, but it is kind of a breath of fresh air. And I could not be more proud to be a part of it. I think it's going to really, really open everybody's eyes. The money is going to be great. The competition is going to be epic. I'm stoked. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I really like the fact that the personalities will be able to be on display. And I really do believe that the personalities can be on display in the NHRA too. But I really like they're going to kind of have a different element, a different spin on how the drivers are presented and how the access will be as far as, you know, getting to know some of these guys a little bit better. You know, I'm always up for something new, but I think this thing here is something that can be bigger once people see the success of it this year.
I'm 100% behind that. I think that everybody just needs to pay attention. It's going to be an eye-opening experience for all parties involved, and hopefully it changes drag racing all in a positive direction.
Indeed. Last question. Going into 2024, I know with athletes, there's always something that they're looking to hone in on and try to be better at. What is Josh Hart honing in on and looking to get even better at going into the 2024 season?
I think just being myself is one thing. I had a major case of stage fright. I'm sure you couldn't tell. it is what it is. It's no different than my business here in Ocala, and I've learned to kind of just say what's on my mind. And some people like that, and some people hate that. So I've kind of got comfortable in my own skin. I stopped caring a long time ago. And as far as performance goes, I want to stay up on my lights. I mean, I'm sure that's kind of a pre-programmed response, but at the end of the season, when you don't have the sled to get you there, you got to focus. And
Indeed.
I was really, really concentrating on making sure I was one of the best levers in NHRA. So the last thing that I'm going to work on is getting rid of these fat cheeks. They say
I am too.
They say that they're going to add 50 pounds to the car, and I'm like, well, man, that might level the competition a little bit. But no, so watch what I eat, work out a little bit more. I've dropped a significant amount of weight. I feel better. I feel stronger, and ultimately, I have more energy. They don't think that it's exhausting sitting in these cars, but when you got an oil down in front of you and you're sitting there for 40 minutes in the cockpit, it's pretty intense. So just need to take better care of myself, focus, and be myself.
Yeah, I'm right there with you though. I have and suffer with anxiety, social anxiety. So when it took me a while to get to this point to be able to do this show live, and you're right. Sometimes you just gotta not care. Sometimes things don't work and they're not perfect, and that's just that's just how it is. You just have to accept it. But Josh, I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. This will not be the last. I can't wait for the season to start. And tell everybody where they can follow you guys at and keep up to date on what's going on with you and your race team.
Yeah, check out joshhartracing.com. Josh Hart Racing, all social media channels. Check out Bernie's Speed Shop. If you get bored, we're 7 miles away from the Don Garlitz Museum. We got some pretty good eye candy on display at all times. Look forward to seeing you guys.
And I will be in touch. I promise you I'm going to get there. I mean it.
Look forward to it. We are doing the Fan Fest again, so you better be.
Awesome. I'll have to make time for that.
I look forward
Definitely. To it. Thank you, Josh.
Take care.
That was Josh Hart, ladies and gentlemen. Super cool guy. Super cool guy. Always has been one of my favorites to interview. I'll throw up an old throwback. First time ever interviewing him at the Gator Nationals. Well, we have another cool guest. And this guy, I have to say, there's a lot of people that work hard. And nobody can say that this team doesn't work hard. It's very, very much a privilege to have you on, Chris King.
I'm very privileged to be on the show, man. It's great to talk to you. Lots of exciting things happening. I can't wait to get back to 2024, just like Josh was saying, man. It's exciting times.
Absolutely. I went and looked back at a lot of the numbers, and, for the average fan, it doesn't stand out. But for me, who loves stats and numbers, there's one thing that was consistent about each and every race that you guys attended. There was progress. And Absolutely. Consistency was developed. It showed, especially when you guys, Topeka was one, Brainerd was another. And I want to know, how hard is it when you only come to 5 races? Sometimes you only have 3 qualifying sessions. You're trying to do the best to not only get the car down the racetrack, but you also are trying to make sure you're not hard on the parts. When you don't have enough, sometimes you don't have those 4 sessions. How hard is it for you guys to make sure that the 1 or 2 passes you may get, you got to make them count?
It's the ultimate David versus Goliath situation for us. Being a team that doesn't run very often, we're learning every lap we go out there. There's things that we figure out, and there's things we miss by a mile. And we need every one of those qualifying laps. And the other thing that kind of is tough for us is we don't have a consistent paid crew. We have volunteers that come up. So different races, we have different people doing things on the car, and it kind of slows us down a little bit because there's no fluid dynamics as far as cohesiveness and routine with that. So, we attack every race we go to. We need every lap possible. And unfortunately, we had situations where something was wrong with the car, or we just missed the turnaround by 5 or 10 minutes just because the guys, aren't as seasoned as the professional teams. But when we were out there, we were quite happy with what happened. As you stated, we were making progress going out there. Every lap was going faster and faster, finding that consistency, getting me comfortable in the cockpit, and just improving, which is all we can really do. And the important part is, a lot of people think small teams, small dollars, these guys, do they really belong out there? And we look the part. So we're very happy with how we present ourselves as a team. We look professional. We perform professional. We don't hang anybody out to dry in the starting line. We're there doing what we need to do, and we're working on the rest of it. And with everything that's happened already, next year is going to be amazing, and you're going to see a 180 from this team.
Now, before we talk about PRI, there's one thing that I was interested in knowing. Just like sometimes practice in sports isn't the same as the game, especially when you have young athletes coming in, rookies. Are you able to kind of, in the shop, simulate taking apart and putting together as if you were guys getting ready for a round?
So previously, we weren't really in the position to do that. The car was based in Omaha, which is kind of the middle of nowhere. And the only person that lived in Omaha at the time was Terry Totten, and he had his plate full with his car and work and family. So it was hard to get people out there to work on it. So we didn't have that repetition until we got to the track. And we practiced at the track and guys would go over things. But this big move to Brownsburg, relocating the race team there, is a step in the right direction, because a lot of the guys that are going to be working on a car are in Brownsburg. So they're working on a car yesterday and the night before. I'm up in Chicago because I have to work and do my thing here. But the guys are down there working on the car, and that's going to make them more proficient and familiar. And Bob Peck, my new crew chief, he's planning on running them through days where we bring the car out of the shop, push it in like we're pushing into the pits, and everybody's going to tear apart the car and do a routine service just like they would do at the racetrack. And when it's done, guess what? Here's what we can improve on. Here's what I saw. Okay, take it back out, do it again. So we're going to start doing that repetition and just get the guys more comfortable learning their part of the car. Once they're good on their part of the car, if they want to learn something else, we'll teach them something else. But for now, everybody's got a direction. We have a plan, and we're going to stick to it. And it's all about being organized. You can be organized, then you can perform better. So it's just a big vicious circle, and everything's coming together because we got the right players and the right pieces coming in.
It's those reps. I love getting those reps. And, I learned that from TJ Zizzo. I had an opportunity to talk to him at the Gator Nationals a few years ago, and he talked about how they prepared. They watched, they weren't able to make every race, but they would do the exact same thing. They were prepared continually so that when they came out, they were already ready. And I like that. And I like the fact that now you're able to have a central location to where the guys can be right there. It's a comfort level. And once they now have that comfort level, now they can get in that rhythm and really be able to hone in those skills so that when you get to Gainesville in 2024, hey, it's just like riding a bike.
Hopefully that's the plan. We're still looking for crew guys, and we're actively pursuing, better and bigger things. The big thing right now is funding and availability of equipment. We're resourcing stuff, getting things together. Organization of tools. I'm trying to get tools so that everybody has their own set of tools for whatever job they're doing on the car. It's a lot. And then there's things as a team owner that just, wow, man, you wouldn't believe what goes into trying to organize putting a car on the track, and not even just getting down the track, just getting the car to the track. It's insane. So, with the right guidance, the right people, my never give up attitude and desire to succeed, we're doing the right things. I learned what we needed to do and what we not needed to do. So we're on that path, and we're slowly making progress, and we'll get there. So I'm excited.
Now, I want you to kind of tell everybody you had a really good PRI with some of the things you were able to get done there. Could you tell everybody what happened and what you were able to get done at PRI?
Yeah, so like PRI is kind of like where everybody comes out to what they've been working on. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been working on some of these things for years, and now they're starting to materialize. But officially at PRI, that's where a lot of the news comes out, and you solidify and finalize all that stuff. So first and foremost, as I mentioned earlier, we moved the team to Brownsburg, and we're operating out of Brownsburg now. And we brought in veteran of the sport, Bob Peck from DSR, to be the crew chief and kind of lead this band of misfits, I guess you would say for now. But Bob's been phenomenal, and Terry is still involved. We talk on the phone every day. So, we're not parted ways with him too. We're still good friends, but Bob's taking the reins so Terry can concentrate on his dragster. But Bob's resources have opened a bunch of doors for me, as far as parts resources, people resources, and just getting the right things together. And it's amazing. So that was one of the big announcements. But moving on, we're proud to say that Howard's Cams and Competition Products are continuing their support of our funny car team, along with Gates Belts, Redline Oil, and Reed Rocker Arms. So, Impact also, my safety equipment supplier. So they're all on board with pretty much status quo deals of supporting us with parts and discounts, so we can, keep things going. But the new information, which was cool to pronounce at PRI, was that Fire Department Coffee has entered into a partnership with the one and only first responder, firefighter, professional driver in the NHRA, which is a really cool thing. I'm super excited about that. So we're working on things with Fire Department Coffee now, and opening up relationships with Antron Brown. So we'll see, what horizons come up and what direction that takes us. But that's a real cool partnership. And we also hooked up with NGK spark plugs to run some Top Fuel spark plugs for them, and Goodson tool and equipment. So we'll be getting some new cutters and all kinds of equipment to help maintain the clutch and the head service department in there. And, we're working on some other stuff too, but I can't complain, man. The media that we get, the attention we're getting for a little guy, I'm super excited. I just wish some of the bigger people would kind of open their eye and say, hey, what's this little wave coming? Because this wave is going to turn into a tsunami real quick, and I hope they're ready for it.
Absolutely. I thought all of that was just fantastic. It's really cool too that you're able to represent something that you do as a firefighter. And that's going to get other people who being a firefighter, to me, is what I've seen. I also work for the local city here, and the first responders. It's like a big community, and it's going to be awesome to see where you go, that there will be people that do what you do and come in and represent the fire department and support you. And all the great news that you were able to bring forth is also something that is very heartwarming, because this class needs more funny cars. It needs more great drivers like yourself. And it really shows the community. It shows people who really don't follow the NHRA, the community that is there, the people that are willing to help. I saw that you guys are able to kind of touch base with Guido and other people to get knowledge and get help. And that's not necessarily something you find in any other sport. I mean, if I'm a coach of an NFL team, I'm not going to call another coach and he's not going to give me any advice about anything, because he doesn't want me to use that against him to win ball games. But in the NHRA world, it's different. And could you kind of elaborate on that to fans that may not, know about that?
One thing I really love about the NHRA is you hit it right on the head. It's like a big family. Everybody's looking out for each other, and they want you to succeed, because if we don't have cars at these events, what happens to the sport? It goes right in the tank, right? So guys like Guido and Medlin, I think Bob's had conversations every day for the last 2 weeks with those guys about what we should be doing, what direction, what parts should we be allocating, and can we work with what we got? So it's great that Guido and Medlin are helping them out, and Bob just knows everybody. But it really is a family. And when I first came out here, people asked me what I need. It's really cool to be out here and offer their support. But there's guys like Buddy Hall, Jack Beckman, guys like that just Absolutely. Oh, look at Buddy's popped up. What's up, Buddy? Those guys just will bend over backwards to make sure you got what you need, and that even mentally, put the money and the parts aside. They want to make sure that you're good, because this sport can wipe you out in a heartbeat just because of the politics. And man, it's tough being out here. But what's cool about it is there's a tie there with the fire department, because the fire department's a big family also. No matter where you go, anywhere you go, a fellow fireman is like a brother to you. They'll welcome you into their house, their firehouse, anything, with open arms, and offer you the world if they can do it. So it's really cool putting those two worlds together, because it is a big, happy family. And we plan on doing a whole lot of stuff by bringing firemen to the races and showing support and love and all that stuff for guys coming out and doing recognition. And I just want to hit real quick too. Fire Department Coffee has a response rig that goes to natural disasters, and the storms down in Tennessee this past week, they were there. I think they've been there 2 or 3 days now, with a fire truck that's got laundry, coffee making, and all kinds of equipment and supplies to help those in need. So these guys are doing it behind the scenes. They're doing it at the track. They're doing it every day of their lives. And that's what first responders are all about. They're there when you need them. And, they never turn their back. They're always on duty. So even when I'm at the track, I got my family with the fire department. I got my family with the race team. I got guys like Buddy. I got guys like Matt. I got guys like, Guido and the whole Caps team. They got my back, and they're there for us. So it's awesome, man. I hope that puts it into perspective, man. It's unbelievable, the hearts of these guys and how much they love the sport, that they want people to come in. And all's fair in game till you strap your helmet on, then things change a little bit. But as soon as you unstrap, they're right there high-fiving you and asking what you need. So it's really cool.
Now, what's your schedule looking like for 2024?
Well, we just sent a bunch of parts out for recert, and we're hoping to get those back. And, we're looking at the chassis and doing some upgrades and making sure it's safe and functional so it performs better. So we're hoping to start right away in 24 with Gainesville. If we can't quite get it done for Gainesville, then we'll hit Charlotte. So one of those two will be our first race. And again, that's all depending on Bob and making sure his schedule works out and the car is good to go. So we'll be out first races of 24, and then we'll plan on doing 5 or 6 races, pretty much the Midwest swing like we did this year. Try to stay close to home for travel reasons, but if we can find some marketing partners and a little bit of money to support this endeavor, we would increase our races and increase our reach and go wherever they would like us to go.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I would be over the hill if you guys were able to show up to Gainesville. That is one of the races that I cover. Love it. The track is amazing. And when you come out, it just seems like guys just run, and they run well.
They do.
Hopefully we don't have any monsoon weather like we've had in the last couple of years, whether if it's rain or extreme cold. I always wanted to know what it would be like when you had 30 and 40 degree weather, and whether you could make big power and go down the racetrack. And then it hit me, that doesn't work if the track is not warm.
I think they had a situation a while back where it was like conditions no tuner had ever seen, and they were just throwing whatever they could at it, and some worked and some didn't. People learned a lot, but they had conditions that have never been seen. I think it was like 40s or 50s, and massive negative altitude, and just conditions were nuts. So it's got to be right. Nitro is so temperamental. The clutches, the power. I mean, if you don't get it right, it lets you know, and it's really wrong. So just a smidge being wrong is really wrong with those things, and it ends up costing you a fortune in parts and performance. And I mean, these crew chiefs are like geniuses. The way they figure this stuff out, looking at computers, I don't know how they do it. They start talking, and I just start smiling and nodding. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, I get a lot of it, but yeah, it's nuts, man. Performance wise, everybody flies in Gainesville. It's exciting. I licensed down there with Frank Hawley, and I love going down there. And who doesn't want to get out of Chicago in March to go down to Florida? Sign me up, man.
Exactly. I tell you, it's nice. It is very nice when the weather is nice. I'll ask you one last question. It's pretty much the same question I asked Josh. going into 2024, I know you got a lot of things that you're managing, especially as an owner, but what's your main focus this year that you want to improve and come in to the 2024 season swinging the bats for home runs?
So it's pretty much going to mock what Josh said. I work on me. I got to be the best me I can be in that car. So my lights are important. We're working on the car to make it respond better, because I had some pretty decent lights in a funny car. Now, if we can get the car to respond like I was responding, we're going to be lethal. And we might not have that performance, but we're going to be there and give people a run for their money. So that's one of the things, is just me keep working on me. The other thing with the team is just keep improving. Show people that we belong here and that we mean business. We are professional. We look professional, and we're going to strive to be professional and represent our marketing partners the best we can and promote them the best we can. So we're looking to make waves. You know, it's just financially right now, it's tough for me because I'm pretty much self-funded still. A lot of our deals are parts and support, but you know, we'll get there, and we're just going to keep doing what we do. We're going to perform. We're going to improve. We're going to listen to people. We're going to represent, and we're going to keep trying to grow the sport and grow our sponsors. That's all we can do.
Indeed. And I believe all of your races that you will be going to are the same ones last year, with the exception of possibly Gainesville. Am I correct?
Yeah, pretty much. We're kind of waiting to see what's going on with Denver. You know, a rumor source I spoke to today actually said, you know, things aren't happening as far as the sale of the property. So there may be a Denver. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
But it would be cool. I love going to Bandamere. But for the most part, yeah, we're going to stick around the Midwest. You know, Chicago, Indy, Norwalk, St. Louis, the Kansas City race, if it's up and running, to replace Topeka. I love going to Brainerd. Who doesn't love the zoo? Although that wasn't nice to me this year. I blew up a motor in qualifying, and that one hurt a little bit. But, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, we're definitely going to try to hit the U.S. Nationals this year also and represent. And, you know, we'll go where we can. If parts survive and my finances look okay and my wife's not too angry about what the checkbook looks like, you know, we're going to see what we can do. But, hey, we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to be there. I'd love to add more races and make this a bigger, better deal. But we'll do what we can with what we have.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for you. And you know, we're gonna keep pounding away, keep doing what we can, especially here on my end, to keep getting you out there, getting your face out there, letting people see who you are, and hopefully through that you'll be able to gain some type of full-time sponsorship that can have you out there full-time. Let everybody know where they can follow you at and keep up with what's going on with Chris King.
We're very active on social media, so you can hit me up at Chris King Racing on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We do a great job. I have some awesome help that keep me relevant because I'm not very good at that stuff. But my PR team with Elin, Natalie, and the girls from ICE, they just do a phenomenal job. So we're very active, and I get on there when I can and answer questions because I like to be involved with my fans and friends also. So hit us up on social media. Come by our race. Our pits are open door policies. You want to talk, you want to sit in the car, we'll do what we can to accommodate you. But, you know, we're there. Come on out, see us. I appreciate you helping push the little guys, because someday the little guys may be the big guys. Everybody starts somewhere.
Exactly. I think everybody deserves a spot. And I love talking to guys who come out. They don't have everything, but, man, in this day and age, you guys come out and make those big guys have to earn it.
All it's about is keeping them honest, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris. This was the first time. This will not be the last time. I look forward to talking to you again, hopefully before the 2024 season, and we'll be talking about you coming to Gainesville.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thanks for the time, and thanks for the opportunity. I'll see you in Florida.
Later. That's Chris King, ladies and gentlemen. I love seeing the little guy build. And again, what a better, group of people that you can be surrounded by, especially having a guy like Buddy Hull in your corner. I said it earlier, such a positive guy, always going to keep your spirits up, and never has a negative thought when it comes to achieving a goal and looking towards that goal to be full-time one day. So people like that help you out a lot when you have the stresses of owning a nitro operation. Well, I appreciate everyone who commented and who stuck around through the NHRA part of our show. We are now going to go into our NFL part of the show. We encourage you to stick around. You'll learn something, even though you may not watch NFL football. And now I'm going to bring in a guy who does absolutely some phenomenal work on the field, off the field. If you want to see quality photography, if you want to hear about the Packers and what they're doing and how he feels about it, if you want to see his top 5 or top 10 rankings, this is the man that you want to see. My guy, Darrell Owens. How's it going?
Hey, DJ, man, it's good to finally get on here, man. We've been trying to work this magic for a couple of weeks now, and my crazy schedule kind of got in the way, but we're here now. We're here now.
And I want to plug it. He does work for Seawall and Bowie TV. Those things are two important things. If you're looking to see what they do, they cover the Wizards, they cover the Ravens, they cover the Washington Commanders. If any of those teams interest you, I suggest you go over there and make sure you guys like, subscribe, and get locked in. They do excellent work over there with Seawall and company. That is one heck of a team. Now, I'm going to start with your Packers first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about quarterback, and I really do feel like despite some of the miscues on Jordan Love's part, I do believe he does look the part, and I think he is the guy for the foreseeable future. He needs some consistency though out at the wide receiver position.
So somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago, they said, Darrell, where do you feel like where's your percentage on Jordan Love? So my percentage right now is 80. Even through the rough patch that he had during the middle of the season, even with the game last week, I said 80 for a reason, because we see all the intangibles of what he can be. And a lot of people look at him and say, well, he's been in the league a while. Well, he hasn't played. So to me, this is a rookie year for him. And for him to play as impressive as he has in a rookie year per se, if he was a rookie right now, we'd be talking about him being the rookie of the year. Or he'd be right up there with C.J. Stroud. And I know, and that's the way I kind of look at it. And the way Brian Gutekunst, our GM, has kind of set this team up. They're young. They're the youngest offense in football. They're the youngest team in football. So you're going to have mistakes made. There are going to be some growing pains that if you're a Packers fan, you're not used to it. As I like to call myself a Packer enthusiast. It's like you're going to go through some pains that we're not used to, because why? Hey, I've been a Packers fan since I was 7. The year before Brett Favre got there, I was a fan when the Magic Man was there. I got lucky. I've had 30 plus years of Hall of Fame quarterbackship. So for a guy like myself, you're like, okay, well, you got to get used to it. Exactly. But I like what I've seen. I mean, they impressed me the last couple of weeks, even despite the loss. Even in that loss, they fought back. And yep. I've been telling people, if you go back and watch this Packers team, they could easily be 11-2. There's only 2 games that they fully they just lost. They lost to the Vikings straight up in the first game, and they lost to the Lions straight up. You go back or watch all the other games, 2 points, 1 point, 3 points. They could easily be 11-2, but they're not, and that's because a lot of the growing pains that this team is facing.
Yeah, the inconsistency from Watson. Do you believe that he can be the guy? I think he has all the talent in the world. When he's on, he's there for Jordan Love and makes big plays. Do you see him being a mainstay and being able to consistently do those things? And I know he's been dealing with injury as well.
That's the thing, and the injuries, like him being on the field is probably the worst thing. Is just sometimes you got to be there, and he hasn't, unfortunately, in certain aspects. He wasn't there this past week, and they could have definitely used him. When you go back and look at it, he early this season it was struggle. Him and Jordan just weren't connecting on certain aspects. Then the last couple of weeks before this injury, he started clicking, kind of like last year. Rough in the beginning, started clicking towards the end. So I still haven't seen enough. And I think in today's sports world, we don't give athletes a chance to grow because we want it now. We need to see it now. And that's the generation, since maybe the early 2000s up until now, where you have to have it. Once that first quarterback came out there and had a great, first couple, maybe first two, maybe three quarterbacks came here, every team expected it. Every fan expected it. And that's the problem with a lot of the young athletes. My boy Deshaun Rucker, who was on Green and Gold Over Everything, he brought this up. Geno Smith, you look at Geno's situation, Geno struggled.
Yes.
Geno struggled in the beginning. And now, it's a little bit rough right now, but it's injuries. But he's played well the last couple of years because sometimes it takes time to find your right fit. Not all people get that opportunity. So I like Watson, and I like what I've seen from him so far. I want to see him do well. But, there's a lot of good young pieces on his receiving corps. They just need a couple of vets in there. Just a couple.
Absolutely. I think they do too. That would help the young guys be able to progress a little bit faster. And I don't think people realize the value of the veteran player being sprinkled in there. I always say, you need to have a little bit of that. You can't be all young because then young is learning from young, and we all know how that works.
Right.
You're going to have growing pains. They're going to be miscues and the like. But when you have some young guys in there or some older veterans in there that can come in and help tutor a lot of these young guys, now you start seeing the progress made, because we know Matt LaFleur can get the job done as a head coach. It's just a matter of having the extras, those coaches on the field to help these young guys process things a little bit faster and then be able to put them to work on the football field.
Agree 100%. I think a lot of those games that they lost by 2, 3, 4 points, they win maybe half of those games if they have veterans. My boy Randall Burns on the show will argue it down to their feet. Forget them. F the vets. That's his whole language.
Right.
In his eyes, he's like, we're going young. Let's stick with it. But I understand that, and I don't mind going fully young. But you gotta have one guy at the tight end position. Mercedes Lewis would have been phenomenal to have this year. He didn't have to play. He's not playing down in Chicago. He could have easily been there in Green Bay and helped bring along Kraft and also bring in Musgrave. And both of those two young tight ends have shown promise. The receiver core, Jaden Reed, Dobbs, all those young guys are playing well. But I'll just throw, Alan Lazard. Let's say if Alan Lazard was still there. At least you have that veteran in the room that can kind of help bring those young guys along. That is that type of thing that they're missing. And, maybe next year, but Green Bay is really strapped right now money-wise. They're going to have to wait to 2025 when they got all the money in the world to go out there and do what they really, really want to do. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Now, we got an Eagles fan in the house, and Eagles fans are a little bit depressed.
I ain't trying to hear that depressed stuff. Look, hey man, y'all are still 10-3. You're in the playoffs. You would have to do something crazy not to make the playoffs.
Right.
The Eagles are going to be fine. Jalen Hurts is not fully healthy, and it shows.
It is showing.
And he's fighting through it, and I applaud him for that. But people gave, who was it a couple weeks ago that said maybe he should take a seat? It was David Carr got booed up because he should sit there. David was looking out for himself. David, look, if anybody knows what it feels like to get beat up as a quarterback, David Carr knows.
Yes.
And I think he truly had his best intentions at heart, and people took it the wrong way. It would be okay. Marcus Mariota is still a formidable backup for the most part. I think they could have figured some things out. Sirianni's a good coach. They would have been able to figure it out. I still like this Eagles team. The playoffs still going to come, and they're going to be somebody to reckon with.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And look, the Dallas Cowboys did well by doing what they needed to do to win against a winning football team. Because, and I'm not going to talk about all the losing teams they played, because you can't control the schedule that you have. And I say the same thing about the Miami Dolphins. You can't control the schedule that you have. You got to beat the teams in front of you. I mean, we cover a Commanders team that had same raggedy schedule and couldn't beat the teams in front of them. So it was, when you're doing that, And the way they were doing that is great. Then they came out, and of course, the Eagles, I said it was going to be tough. Coming down into Dallas, where they're undefeated at home right now, that's their comfort. And they play like that, that is their comfort. When you look at this Dallas Cowboy team, I'm very impressed, and I deserve Mike McCarthy deserves an apology from me. Really hard on him earlier, and when they said he was going to be calling the plays. But I said this on a show previously. When you watch his play calling, it looks like a author telling a story. Like every play sets up something else. And if you pay attention, it may not come to you on that series. The next series, they just set you up the series before to hit you with something else that's going to be a CeeDee Lamb coming across on a deep drag route to get wide open behind the safeties, setting you up for a Pollard outside run. There's so many things, getting the tight end involved, the young tight end involved that people didn't think was going to be that good. How good has Mike McCarthy's play calling been to really people ready to write off Dak, but this play calling is what Dak needed because this plays to what Dak did in Mississippi State.
It's beautifully done by McCarthy. And as a guy who's seen McCarthy for years, this is the play calling that they had in Green Bay for the most part. But my only real issue with McCarthy in Green Bay was he would get conservative at the wrong time. And what I saw in that game against the Eagles is he never went conservative. He went full throttle. That used to be my biggest complaint. Like, man, you got to go for it. You got Aaron. You got all of these. You got Jordy. You got guys. You could beat up on people like the way the New England used to beat up on people.
Yes.
And I think he finally got that. Like, I think McCarthy said, you know what? Let's go beat up on people. If they would beat up on us, if it was us, let's go beat up on people. And I think that's clicking for him right now. I think he finally got it, D. I think he finally figured it out that, hey, we can beat up on teams. Let's go do that. And so it's a good thing to see. It's really nice to see that they were able to, kind of get things going. But the play calling has been amazing. And Dak looks the most comfortable I've ever seen him. Yes. Ferguson, the tight end you mentioned, has had an amazing year. Fantasy owners like myself, very happy to have him a part of my team. And, so you see a guy like Ferguson, you see CD out there having one of the best years and quiet. It's a quiet, really quiet year, which you'd say that counts crazy. But when you have Tyreek Hill going for 2,000 plus yards, and you got AJ Brown out here man-challenging people, usually on a daily basis. Yes. CeeDee Lamb has got lost in the sauce, and CeeDee's been really good this year. Yeah. And that defense, I mean, hey, I'm already petitioning for Al Harris to come back home to be DC for the Green Bay Packers. That's all I'm asking. I know that's a long stretch because Quinn's probably going to be out there next year as a head coach, and he's going to probably end up taking the spot in Dallas. But a man can dream.
Yeah, I agree. Dan Campbell and that combination, man, it's been lethal. And everybody thought there was going to be a big drop off. I did not, because I've been watching my cousin, not really my cousin, Darrell Owens, since college.
Right.
Since college. And I felt like he was a guy that Washington could have gotten as a corner. The thing that really impressed me in college and what you see here, he's smart but yet aggressive. Right. And he attacks the football. He attacks the route. He's very in tune with preparation. It showed in college, and we've seen it here, throughout the season. And one thing that is important about a corner, you're going to get beat. It's just the name of the game. Like, you're not going to be 100% every week because the other guy on the other side is earning a paycheck as well.
Right.
But when it's time to pony up, Darrell Owens is ponied up.
Yeah, Bland's had an amazing year. I mean, and it's such a good thing to see. And a lot of people thought, hey man, when Trevon Diggs went down, that was it. What are they going to do? And Bland has stepped up, and he's been absolutely amazing. And that's what I said. It's just a kudos to what Quinn has done as the defensive coordinator there. Him and Al Harris together, just working magic for that Dallas Cowboys team. And for Dallas fans out there, I know, every year you say, this could be the year. A lot of people are really starting to believe it. That Eagles win meant a lot to them. Because every year is like, oh, they beat up on everybody. That Eagles win meant a lot. And so they got to try to close it out down the stretch. But they put themselves in a good position now, because if they can win out, you're going to get the 2 seed. Potentially the 1 in San Francisco slips somewhere, and things could go through Dallas. So it's just, can they get over the hump of being Dallas? That's the key right now for the Dallas Cowboys. You have to get that monkey off the back of being America's team, and you got to push all that noise out the way and focus on, we're the Dallas Cowboys right now. We're not the Cowboys for 95. We're not the Cowboys for 96. We're the Cowboys for 2023, and we need to do with it. We need to do what we need to do to go to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl.
Because I think that's important, because right now the 49ers are your kryptonite. They put foot all in your backside. So the Eagles win was great. It builds confidence, but that's the hump that if you meet in that NFC Championship game, you have to be ready for. You cannot be taking on all of Dallas's history. It's about this team this year and trying to get to that Super Bowl. I think either way, it's going to be a good matchup. I really do believe that they can get to the NFC Championship game, and we're going to have great playoff play as we get down this stretch here.
And the playoffs will start now, D. I mean, if we really be honest with you, you look at the matchups this week, a lot of them have playoff implications. A lot of those teams that are in the tweener spots, trying to in the AFC and the NFC, there's like, I think the Broncos and the Colts are one of the matchups. They just got matchups in between that are really important this week for a lot of teams. Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay and Green Bay are both currently in the playoffs, but the way the NFC South is going, anything can go. Exactly. So it's just going to be crazy between now. Like we're in playoff football right now, D, and that's the best part about it.
And the Lions have struggled the last couple of weeks. Is this something that Lions fans should be worried about, or is this just par for the course? It's in the NFL. It's any given Sunday, and sometimes you don't come out on the winning side of things like you would like.
I think it's, I agree. It's probably par for the course. I mean, like, look, this Lions team is good. We've seen them come out and beat some teams this year today, beating up on the Chiefs, and heck, they beat up on Green Bay. They beat up on some other teams. And they've slipped a couple times. Yeah, Green Bay snuck them on Thanksgiving. The Bears snuck them this week. But I always tell people, you can't look at sometimes division matchups. You can't look at those, even no matter how bad the team is. It's a division matchup. And most of it, in preseason and in training camp, your focus is winning the division. So you focus on those teams more than anything. So you're going to have games like that where you get snuck by a division opponent. Sometimes you get lucky, you can dominate the whole division, but there are going to be times out there where you get snuck by a division opponent. The Bears know the Lions better than anybody. The Packers know the Lions better than anybody. So two of those losses came in that form. They're going to be fine. I think Dan Campbell will get everything together. They've got a leader in Jared Goff, who, in my opinion, statistically may not be having his best season overall. He's had some really good season. This season, not bad by far. But when you really look at it, he's having his great success the last year and a half as a leader.
Yes, I agree.
And he's done an amazing job of being a leader of men in the last 2 years. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing when it comes to playoff time, because you got a Brock Purdy. Yes, he's been in the NFC Championship game, and under weird circumstances, but he's been there. You got Hurt, who's been in the Super Bowl, and everybody else is kind of like, they got young guns or guys who haven't really went that deep, including Dak, and they haven't been that deep. So that Goff knows what it takes to get to a Super Bowl. It's there. I mean, it's there. That's what I said. I have full faith that they'll still be a team to reckon with during the playoffs. And it's a bump in the road right now. Yeah, it's a bump in the road.
They got a big matchup against the Broncos, who are really catching steam right now. Everybody thought they were pretty much dead in the water after the Washington game, and everybody was questioning whether Russ still had it. Was Sean Payton still Sean Payton? and they've managed to string together a collective amount of wins here, and they've got a lot of momentum coming into this ball game this weekend.
They do. And, since the Green Bay game, they played ground. I keep bringing Green Bay up, but Green Bay seems to be tied in a lot of stuff here.
Yes.
But since that Green Bay game, when they beat Green Bay, they went on that 5-game winning streak. And they almost beat the Texans. This could easily be a 7-game win streak right now for Denver. They just couldn't pull it off against the Texans, a week or so ago. And what I like from it is it's not pretty, but having Russ, that veteran quarterback, having a really good year, by the way. And congratulations to Russ on the baby. Congratulations. Yeah. It's like all that stuff is just kind of coming together. And I think him and Peyton have kind of got an understanding now. Just imagine if they had more pieces on this team.
Yeah.
I mean, how good could this Broncos team be if they had more pieces? Yeah. But the young guys are playing hard, playing tough. The defense is playing tough. What can you say?
Yeah. And coming into another big game, and I believe this is the Sunday night game, Ravens and Jaguars. And the Jags are a very interesting team in the sense that it seems that I really do believe that the ankle hindered, Trevor Lawrence this past week. But I think they have a lot of pieces, but sometimes it's like they check out sometimes during the game and forget that you have to continue to slug it out. And sometimes they get punched a little bit and they get caught off guard and kind of stagger, and then they get caught in a dogfight and sometimes come out on the losing end of it. They cannot afford to come out and take naps during the game against Lamar Jackson, who's having an MVP-like season. This is going to be a game that proves whether when they get to the playoffs, can they slug it out with the big boys at the top of this playoff, ladder here.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, they hung in with the Chiefs earlier this year. They got demolished by the 49ers. And some of these matchups where you're thinking, okay, yeah, they're going to be all right, they should have it. And then they get snuck, even in the Texans, that first Texans game, you're like, whoa. And then the second one, it was hanging in with them. It's the Jaguars are weird because they're also kind of a young team that still, even though they made the playoffs last year and they ain't won a playoff game, they're still growing as a team. And they perfectly, thank God they have a quarterback. I mean, a young, good quarterback, but thank God they have a head coach that has a Super Bowl under his belt. And then I think eventually we'll get these guys where they need to be. I mean, they're nicked up right now, though. With Christian Kirk going down, that hurts more than people know. They are getting some people back. I know Agnew should be coming back. He's in the 21-day window, so he's got a couple of weeks. He may get back in time for the playoffs if they make the playoffs. I still like this team overall. They're just still kind of going through those growing pains of being a young, talented football team. Obviously ahead of where I think Green Bay may be on the young and talented side, but I like where they sit. But if they can win this one, then I will be extremely impressed because the Ravens are playing great football right now.
They are, and they were. I know a lot of people didn't think they should have been in that fight with the Rams, but I think people underrate the Rams football team.
The Rams are good. I know they've lost some tough ones, but see, the Rams are one of those middle of the road teams, D, that you don't want to see down this stretch. Why? Because you saw what happened last week against the Ravens. Yeah. They're going to play teams tough. One, they're also in the playoff mix. So they're going to play teams tough. You got a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a Super Bowl winning coach, one of the greatest defensive players of all time. The Rams are not going to be a slouch. No. They're going to hang in it. They're going to hang with teams. And we've seen it all year long. They've been really tough in some games. So I don't put anything past the Rams. Nothing. I mean, they're a tough team.
Speaking of the Rams, the team that we cover, the Washington Commanders, go out to LA to face the Rams, and a Rams team that is hot, playing quite well football on the offensive side and defensive side of the football. This Commanders team is a team that we really don't know what we're going to get. I really do feel like a coach that has done his job when it comes down to making the Washington Commanders a respectable outfit as far as organizational wise.
Right.
The coach part of it, though, since the trade, and I thought the voice was lost before the trade, but since the trade, it really, really put Ron Rivera in a lame duck situation where everybody knows that nothing he says matters. And the people in the locker room, the guys in the locker room, seem to not be listening anymore. And it's showing on the football field.
And that's the tough part. First of all, quick shout out to Candy Waller out there in LA, represent Bowie TV.
Yes, sir.
Do your thing, girlfriend. But I will say this: I was at practice today, and we went into the locker room, had a chance to talk to some of the players beforehand, and we were talking to Terry, and listening to Terry, he you can still tell that he's going to be that leader. He still wants to go out there and fight. I just think that the guys are at a point right now that it's a tough situation for them because they really don't know which way to really go. You hear all the whispers about them not liking EB, and then it when you see the way they play on the field, you're like, maybe this is true. It's like, maybe they don't like them that much. And then there was the talk that Rivera, they felt like Rivera should have never gave a play calling or never did all this stuff. I think it's a bad position for everybody to be in because I think everybody sees the writing on the wall.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate because I love Coach Rivera. The human being that Coach Rivera is top notch.
He's a great man.
He's a great man, and I need people to understand that part. He's a great man, but unfortunately, when it comes down to it, it just hasn't worked. And maybe that's some fault of Daniel Snyder, maybe not giving Ron Rivera the chance to grow that team the way he wanted to grow that team. It could have been that. It could have been a couple of things. But I think that unfortunately, new ownership, fans want to be there. That fans want to support the team. I just think unfortunately change has to come. Rivera, you said, Rivera has done the job to get the team organizational wise, I think close to where they kind of on the right path to where they need to be. Unfortunately, on the football side of things, it just hasn't worked out. And I want to see them do well. I want to see them win this game against the Rams.
It's good for business.
It's good for business. But here's the honest thing. They got a really tough schedule the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's ugly.
And then you say, well, what if Rams? The Rams are a tough team.
Tough.
The Jets defensively dangerous. So if they can't get things going offensively, and they struggled against the Giants twice,
yes,
and I can't talk too much trash because they did that thing on Monday, but
they
struggled
did.
against the Giants twice. Struggled against the Patriots, even though they won the game, they struggled against the Patriots. Yes. I'm going to tell you right now, that defense is tough as nails, and it's going to be really hard for them to try to get past that point. And then you got the 49ers and the Cowboys at the end of the season. So these are 4 tough games. And I think if you're a Washington fan, you just want a strong showing. Yes, you still can make the playoffs mathematically, technically right now, but you want a strong showing. You want something to go in the next season thinking, okay, whatever changes that are made, we've got pieces here that can make the right moves. Or if not, hey, maybe we can use those pieces to trade and move and do whatever needs to be done. But we cover a team that I may not be a fan per se, personally on a fan front, but I respect this team.
Yes.
And I want to see everything go well for this Washington Commanders team. The fans deserve it. They deserve a winner, man.
They do.
30 years. It's been 30 years since they won a Super Bowl, been in the play regularly. And in that 30 years, they've had 8 winning seasons. Not the 500 seasons, 8 winning seasons in 30 years. And the fans, they just want to see more. I can't be mad at them about that.
I can't either. It's been tough. I do feel like this ownership group, they do have a plan. And I know that fans don't necessarily see that plan because that stuff happens behind closed doors. But I do believe they have a plan. And I do think if you look at what Josh Harris has done with the Sixers, they don't tolerate mess. That's why they sent the Beard out of there.
Get him out.
They do a good job of trying to build a consistent winner, a consistent team that's a competitor, and it starts in the front office.
Right.
I know a lot of people want to see certain things. I just want front office to do their job and do the picking and let them make those decisions and build it the right way.
Yeah.
Continuing to do it the way it's been done. You don't want anything that smells like the previous owner or has any kind of stench of that, because I think if it's seen that way, as much as the fans talk about it, I do feel like you could lose the fan base quickly because they've seen this before. And if it doesn't work, then it's really tough. So you want to do this the right way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and the thing about it is, it goes back to the 30 years of not having a consistent winner. I mean, like, the fans have seen enough, and they've tried to be patient. And I know that it's going to be hard for them to be patient because they've been waiting so long. And it's easy for us to be like, be patient, guys. But it's hard because people, you got to look at the aspect of, if you're taking it from a fan perspective, we as football fans, people who love the sport of enthusiasts, I shall say. It's like people who love the sport of football. Even your team is like a family member. So if your team is not doing well, they represent you. And people will come your way to to let you have it. So I quick example. A lot of my friends, they don't have Packer friends. They don't know, but they do know me. And they're like, Darrell is a Packer enthusiast. So when Green Bay does wrong, guess who hears it first? Me. Right. So just imagine being a fan, and that you're a fan, you're a Commanders fan, and every time something go wrong, they're like, your boys doing this, your boys doing that. And when you hear that, it's like, come on, guys, you're making me look bad. It's like street cred. Y'all have to win to give me my street cred. Right. And it's unfortunate. That's why I said, like, I want to see Commanders fans win, because I know they want that. I know they need it. I know they get tired of hearing, Cowboys, we them boys, fly Eagles, fly, go big. I know they get tired of it. They tired of it, and they just want to win. Yeah, they just want to win. D.
I get it. I totally get it. It's I have a lot of family members who are Commanders fan. This is my cousin here, and it is enough is enough. And when the season didn't go well, and we're all looking at things on paper. What we've seen from last year, and expecting with an offensive coordinator that things would be different, and they didn't turn out that way. Boy, my family was like, what the heck is going on here? I thought you said.
But here's the thing, even with EB, like they showed flashes, but this has happened every year under the Rivera regime. There'd be like a 4 or 5 game stretch. You'd be like, whoa, you better watch out for this Commanders team. And then there'll be another 4 or 5 game stretch. You'd be like, what is that? And that's been the unfortunate part. And our fans are tired of, like, I just want to be like, the whole season, I want to be like, yeah. Exactly. I want to watch that. And then unfortunately haven't been able to have that. So, this off season is going to be interesting, D. It's going to be an interesting one all off season, man. I'm intrigued.
I am too. I think there's going to be some interesting things happen. I think there's going to be some things that we're going to be able to be excited about, especially when it comes down to the front office. I can tell you right now, super fan Rio Robinson, I'm telling you, some of these fans don't want to see them mess up this draft pick. So they don't really care about no wins right now. Go out there and look respectable, try hard, but please don't win. They want the highest draft pick possible.
Hey, right now they're sitting at 4 right now, right?
Yes.
If somehow, and me and my guy David Harrison, we talked about this earlier today, so shout out to DH. If they can get up to 2, if they can get up, let's say they're the second pick, and obviously Sam's your guy. You don't need a quarterback per se, So. If you trade back, and we've seen what the number 2 pick has like garnered, or those first 2 picks when they trade up, like what you've been able to get. We're talking about a pick this year, a couple picks this year, maybe a pick or 2 next year. That's something that can help this team long term. That's right. So if they end up staying at 4, I think you take somebody. But if you're at 2, you seriously have to think about the teams that are crawling behind you, looking to get that next quarterback. Go get you some picks. Build that offensive line. It helped that linebacker core. Get the tight end if that's what you feel like that's a position of need. There's so many possibilities, but like you said, it has to be done right.
Yep.
And that's why this offseason will be so intriguing because, can Josh Harris make the right moves can that organization make the right moves to get them where they need to be? I think they can. I really do think they can.
I do too.
Maybe that's just me being optimistic, D. I don't know, man.
You got the magic man. Like the magic man don't lose. He ain't about that losing, bro.
No.
They're going to find a way. And I think they're looking at other organizations, and I've said this often, looking at other organizations like the Eagles, other organizations that have turned it around in a short period of time. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to hear no words about rebuild. It's called reload because too many organizations with great management up front have been able to consistently reload that football team, and they're respectable and still contending and still in the mix at least. Right. And I think this team has the pieces on deck to be able to be in the mix. Now it's just about collectively putting it all together. And I agree with you with the draft pick. If you get the 2, it's time for Washington to start fleecing other organizations for picks. Make them, these people, and a lot of these guys, they're losers and they're going to be desperate. They want, they think they're one or two players away. Yep. Time for this organization to start fleecing people and not being the ones being fleeced. And I think if it's done right, I do believe you can see a 360 turnaround because, again, if you look around the division, sure, Dallas is playing well this year. The Eagles are playing well, but this could easily be a 4-team race this season if certain things didn't go. I didn't think the Giants were going to be too respectable, but not as bad as they have played. Obviously, they lost Daniel Jones early like that, but I thought this could be a 4-team race, and I still, if it's done right, I do believe the pieces are there. Obviously, offensive line is the main thing, but I do believe that with the right front office, right general manager, right pieces working together to build an organization with the cap money they have the ability to be able to be a competitor next season.
Right. And think about this team could have beat the Eagles twice.
Yep.
This team should have beat the Giants twice. Let's just be honest with you. On paper, they're a better team on paper.
Yep.
I mean, that's just on. It's like I said, and that's paper. But they could easily have won 4 games in this division. I mean, they put the Eagles by their claws twice. They had them right there, and they had early leads and they let them fade. So it's a team that they have all the pieces. They right there or they have some of the right pieces to get to where they need to be. Can they finish the job? Can they finish the job?
Indeed. I know we went a little longer. This has been a weird show. Link's not working. I don't know how that happened, trying to get people in. It's been fun, man. And let everybody know where they can find your work at. I know a lot of people this season have gone over and looked and have been locked into your work. My cousin here in Valdosta, Georgia, who is a Packer fan, has been locked in since I've shared. Let them know where they can find everything that you guys do over there.
Well, first of all, shout out to your cuz, go Pack Go. That's the Packer enthusiast in me. But right. Yeah, you can go and find me at the bottom there at DLO_legacy. And you can find me there on Instagram and on Twitter. And on TikTok, but I'm still learning I refuse learning the TikTok a little bit, but I'm on TikTok on that way. And then on for the LegacyMaker front, you can catch us on YouTube, Instagram, and on TikTok at LegacyMaker Sports. You can catch us on Twitter or the X at LegacyMaker SBN, and it's on LinkedIn and on YouTube at LegacyMaker Sports Network. So. And make sure you check out Bowie Television, Inside the Wizards, my girl Candy Waller, Karita Parks, my squad, DH, my boy Tyrone Montgomery. Want to give a shout out to them. Everybody on my LegacyMaker team. Love you guys. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah, those guys do excellent work. And like I always say, I'm always looking at what everybody does because I always want to be better. You never stop learning. And
facts.
This was the first time, but this won't be the last time, my friend. I appreciate
Not at all, brother.
Appreciate you taking the time, my friend.
No problem, D.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show. I appreciate you guys hanging around. The Nitro talk was electrifying. It was great. And two great guys that are working really hard to get things together and really have a good showing in 2024. Great. Appreciate everybody who commented. The engagement was really heartwarming. Thanks a lot, Buddy Hall, for coming in and gracing us with your presence. Appreciate it. Again, this show is powered by sportsjourney.com. I'm your host, Dujane Bland, and this has been the NotBland Show. Again, like, subscribe. We'll talk to you on the next go around. Good night, everybody.